a joy that you have found us for this podcast. How exciting it is to think that this spiritual message is going out to people around this planet. Whether your life is working at a peak level or whether it can use some enhancement, have I got the message for you today. So get a piece of paper, get ready to take notes, call a friend, have them watch this podcast also. Then you too can have something to talk about and take it to a deeper level. So enjoy. Here we go. Hey, good morning, Seaside. What a joy it is to be here with you today on the official start of summer. There is softball in the park. There is sun in the skies. There are people on the beaches, and Memorial Day is here. And actually, the thing about Memorial Day, it's not really the beginning of summer. The truth about Memorial Day, it is a very powerful spiritual moment for us to just take and pause and open our hearts and feel the appreciation for those individuals from the beginning of time that gave it all, that gave their lives so we could stand here to be what it is we are, to express ourselves and to love. So it is, it is whether you believe in the war or not, it's individuals who are willing to give all that they had for us. And as I think about Memorial Day, in that space that I was sitting in appreciation, what I recognized for myself is Memorial Day probably goes back to the very beginning of our ancestors, from the first individuals that gave their lives for their tribe or for their clan, that people just took the time to pause and remember that. And it became more prevalent or popular in the United States during or after the Civil War, when people used to decorate the graves, hence the name Decoration Day in the U.S. And so to just pause and to open our hearts and feel the appreciation and the love, we cannot help but to attract back into our life experience that kind of appreciation back into our life and our world. When you become that appreciative energy in life, what comes back into your world are those that appreciate you, that love you, that see you for the gift that you are and what it is you have to bring. And the timeless truth I have for us today has to do with attraction. And we are familiar with the law of attraction. Ernest Holmes wrote about the law of attraction. Reverend Catherine read about the law of attraction. That attraction thing has been going on. And we didn't need Newton to come around with his third law of motion that said for every action there is a necessary and opposite reaction. People knew what went around comes around. You didn't need these guys to tell you, but even back in the biblical days in Galatians chapter 6, verse 7, it says, "For those that sow, they shall reap." That is the way of the universe. There is karma. It's like karma is this cosmic currency of our life. What you're putting out is what comes back to you. And it's as if we have a cabinet full of karma, if you would. In this cabinet is what we have stored up, what we get to experience. And it's not only our personal stuff, but we've got our family karma, we've got our societal karma. We have got all these expressions ready to pour forth into our life. It's the way it works. And what we get to do is process through that in our world, because we're living in an orderly universe where we get to experience. I mean, you don't just get to throw junk out and then, I got nothing to do with it. It was Einstein who said God doesn't play dice with the universe. We live in an orderly universe. You can't throw crud out there and expect not to get it back. When I was a kid, I used to play with, it was like a desk toy where it was like these 4 or 5 silver metal balls hung on a string, and you pick one up and it clangs, and out goes the other one, comes out, boom, and it goes out this way, and boom. Anybody know what I'm talking about? I don't know, I'm just playing with myself up here. So I'm having a good time. I was getting back into that place. But, we're dealing with a reactionary expression in life. What we put out is what comes back to us. I kind of like the way Nietzsche put it. He said, beware when you spit into the wind. It's like that's pretty clear. I got it. We talk about the sympathetic vibration. Peggy's beautiful voice hits these notes, and the piano strings will resonate to that same note. You play a violin, and another violin harmonizes with it. It's called sympathetic vibration. You hit a drum skin, and boom, the other one goes off. There is a responsiveness in life. I mean, imagine you're sitting up beautiful, pristine lake, crystal clear, smooth. You got a rock in your hand, and you throw it, boom, and it drops into the lake. You see that? And out come the ripples. Got it? See it? Okay. Now stop those ripples. No, you can't. Stop them. No, they're going. See, we've got to be careful and aware of what we're dropping in because we're creating ripples. And so we know so much about the law of attraction. You've heard me just talk about it for the last couple minutes. What I really want to give us today, and let's see if I can get here at this service because I didn't do a good job at the last service. But really what I want to give us, since we know so much about this law of attraction, is how we neutralize that karmic debt, how we neutralize those rings from going out there, how we take the blunders of our world and truly step free from having to experience the catastrophic building of our mistakes. And Ernest Holmes, the founder of religious science, was very clear. He said, what one thinks they can unthink, okay? One has a thought, and they've set it in motion. You can create a new causative factor. There is a first cause, and you can establish a new cause in your life. You are not bound by precedent, as Judge Thomas Troward said, who strongly influenced Ernest. Ernest Holmes, he writes in his book, The Science of Mind, on page 145, for all you that have your textbook with you. He said, we do not maintain that this or that specific disease is always the result of thinking about such a condition. Nobody's thinking they want to get sick. But we do assert that a prolonged discordant mental state is certain to eventuate in some form of physical ailment. People have died of great grief, of broken hearts, of outbursts of temper, of deep and continued resentment, of excessive worry, and many other mental states in which there was no specific thought of a sickness at all. But the point to remember is that all mind activity inevitably tends to create its physical correspondent, so that an unhealthful and morbid mental state projects itself into the physical form. Thoughts are things. They have the power to objectify themselves. Thoughts lay hold of a causation and forms real substance. Thoughts form. Form follows consciousness. Consciousness will house itself in the experience of our life and our world. But change your thinking, change your life. Louise Hay, one of our local greats of the New Thought movement, she said that you change your consciousness and allow the abundant flow of the universe to move through you. Your world will bring all the blessings of having just won the lottery, but you get to keep it because it's yours by right of consciousness. What you get to do is change your consciousness. You get to change your thinking. If you don't like what's going on in your body, you don't like what's going on in your world of affairs, if you're paying enough attention to realize there is resistance and there's difficulty and challenge, you know what? There is at some level, you're participating in creating that. Oh, I'm not creating this sickness. No. If you are willing to take responsibility for at some level, somehow participated in creating the experience you are going through, which you have just now done, is you have given yourself the ability to take charge to recreate in your life. If you totally put it outside yourself, I got nothing to do with it, I'm a victim, my body is just having its problem, or my relationship is just tanking, or whatever it is, and you say, I've got nothing to do with it, you are now a victim and unable to redirect your thinking and your thoughts. But if you take responsibility and say, I have participated somehow, you then give yourself the ability to redirect that. Follow what I'm saying? It's easy to think about that over a bellyache. It's a little bit more difficult to think about it over your 50th operation, or your 10th marriage, or whatever it is, that you might be dealing with. Because what happens is all of us have our stuff in life in which we get to process our souls grow through. Some get to do it with relationships, some get to do it with finances, some get to do it with bodies, and some are lucky enough to do it with all 3 or 4 of those things. So life doesn't care. What it knows is it gives you the ability to step up to the next level and say, you know what? Take a look. You're dealing with a law, with a principle of something that responds, the law of correspondence. It comes back to you. There is no large or small. Gravity, you jump off and you're going down. It doesn't matter if you are fat or thin, you're going down. It doesn't know large or small. It doesn't know the difference between a scratch or a tumor. It is as one is able to come into realignment that they're able to begin to neutralize that ripple, have that ripple go out into the world. But what's imperative and important is that you don't get into blame. Oh, aren't I horrible? I created this. Isn't this terrible? Nah, that's not why I'm telling you to take out that metaphysical hammer and beat yourself up. That's not what it's about. It is a responsiveness in an orderly universe. And it doesn't matter if you're a saint or a sinner, it's going to respond to you. And when you realize you're dealing with something that is definite and real, you can then begin to use it for specific purposes in your life to redirect and create a new causative factor in your life and your world. And if you get down in the dumps and you're discouraged and things aren't working, it's natural to hit that sometimes in your life. Particularly if you punch down and you punch down again. And if life gives you 100 reasons to cry, you need to give life 1,000 reasons to smile upon you. You've got to realize that your setback is a set up for a comeback in your life. Yeah. Woo. Classic story from the Bible. Remember King David did pretty good for himself. But by the time you get to his story in Samuel, he came back to town and his town had been destroyed. His city had been destroyed. His family had been kidnapped. His people had turned on him and they wanted to stone him. It's not the best of situations to be in. Discouraged, needless to say. Things are not going his way. But it says in the 30th chapter of Samuel that David, he went inside and encouraged himself in the Lord. He went inside himself and encouraged himself in God. He went inside and encouraged. He encouraged. You got that? He wasn't getting the feedback from the world out there. Hey, you're magnificent. Go, King David, go. No. He listened to something inside of him because I got to tell you what, sometimes in your life when you are down, there's not going to be anybody to pick you up and say, attaboy, keep going, get back in there. No. Sometimes when you're down, you need to go inside yourself for the umpteenth time to encourage yourself to step up. Sometimes, you're going to need that encouragement, and your best friend, motivator, inspirer is on vacation. They're gone. Or maybe your soulmate, your partner in life, is going through their own stuff, and they don't even notice how down you are. Or your colleague at work is busy dealing with their own stuff. You have to go inside and experience that presence, that infinite presence. And sometimes you just need to do it yourself and set a new cause in motion where there will be a necessary response that comes back into your life. Because when you push something, it moves. Amazing the way that works. It moves. Anthony Burgess, age 39, teacher, was diagnosed with tumor on the brain. The prognosis by the doctors, maybe a year to live. Why they dare to even say that, I don't know, but that was his prognosis. He'd always wanted to be a writer, and so he told his wife, you know what, I'm going to quit teaching. I'm going to commit the next year of my life to write 10 novels so you'll have some royalties and hopefully be able to live a little bit more comfortably. At the end of the year, he'd written about 6. But what was interesting is the brain tumor was now gone. And he went on, by the age of 76 when he had died, became a famous English poet, writer, playwright. He had written almost 50 novels and 15 nonfiction books. Yeah. When you begin to live that which you are here to do, you don't need to reset the scale. You don't need to go out and try to stop the ripples. What you have done is you have created a new tsunami that just decimates what had been set forth in motion. And if what is being set in motion now is beautiful, is love, is abundant, is spirit, is expressing, it is gratitude, then that is what begins to magnify in your life and your world. This is how that attracting thing works. And I got to clue us in that not everybody is on your same track. You know, you may be on this path, and this person is on this path, and they're doing their thing like that, and they're getting their life lessons like that, and you're getting their life lessons like this. And you know what? It doesn't mean they're wrong. It doesn't mean the way they're doing their life and finding their happiness or their fulfillment or their misery is wrong. It means that's how they are doing it. And some like a little more excitement, and some just like it a little. You know, Callie was off this week taking care of some business. And so Trevor and I are in the house by ourselves for the week. So when Mom left, I pulled him out of school and we went to Disneyland. That's a dad thing, you know. You wouldn't believe the mess we made. But anyway, but he loves, you know, the roller coaster. Space Mountain, Thunder Mountain, Splash Mountain. And, you know, Disneyland, it's good. It's a good roller coaster, good rush. But you know, it's safe. You're not too worried. But I got to tell you, you go to the Del Mar Fair and you go on their roller coaster, what I notice for myself is I wonder if they've got all the bolts in, you know. Now, I'm sure they do, but it adds a little extra thrill and excitement to the experience, you know. And sometimes in life, when we're on this ride, we can have faith that it's all taken care of, or we can begin to have the worry and the anxiety and the concern. Do they have all the bolts in? Is everything taken care of? Does God really have it handled? I don't know. Maybe I need to get more involved. Maybe my control issues are coming up here and I want to see the schematics or whatever it is. And all of a sudden, the energy that I am putting out in my life is one of concern and worry. And what is coming back to me is that necessary and opposite response into my world. And if I want to move beyond the challenges and the difficulties of that which I've set out, I have got to step it up to a place of level, a place of trust and belief and knowing that all is taken care of. You know, the reason and the goal we want to progress through our karmic stuff is so that we can enter into a new state of creation in alignment with that higher level of understanding and expression of spirit as we move through those states of karmic stuff that we have put out, and we can begin to enter into the states of enlightenment or nirvana or samadhi or just absolute bliss and oneness. But you've got to balance out your karmic checkbook. You've got to begin to live in a place of greater harmony and realization that I am creating in my life that it is not just coming back to me. I've got to be willing to take a look at what it is I'm putting out there and how am I putting out there. It's the motivating piece behind your actions that is really the difference here. It's my motivation is, look how grand I am. Or, oh, I can't believe I did such a thing. Or is it I'm just acting from that higher place of creation where I'm a clear expression of doing what I'm doing as an expression of life here. The Bhagavad Gita says, you want to move through your karma? Whatever you do, do it for me. That's God talking. Yeah. Do it for me. Eat for me. Be of service for me. Sacrifice for me. Give unto others for me. When you're doing it for spirit, if that is your motivation, you begin to be lifted up to higher states of consciousness. You move beyond the bondage of karma. You move beyond the cycles of samsara, the wheel of life and death, the wheel of rebirth and re-death. You move beyond that karmic noose that has you stuck. You begin to take a look at your life and become present, become mindful. Say, you know what? This is going on. And I'm going to listen to my karmic ometer here. You know, I'm going to listen to my gut. You know, maybe it's trying to tell me something more than I'm just hungry. Or I had too many cookies or pancakes. You know, maybe there's something that I need to pay attention to. That there is an energetic that precedes the form that is showing up in life. And as I become mindful and recognize, hey, this is going on in my life, if I take a look here and say, hey, how did I participate in helping to create this in my life? Good or bad? Let's get rid of judgment. What's going on in my life? I take first responsibility for having participated in its manifestation. Then I say, okay, what here do I need to know? What do I need to take a look at here for my life and my world? And then what new cause do I want to be participating with in my life? Not a cause to overcome anything. See, if you're using that energy to overcome, you got a battle going on. At night when I go to bed, I just pull the blankets up over. But it's like I also pull up this like blanket of grace. It's a sense of gratitude. I just pull it up over me, this sense of love and gratitude and grace, and just feel so good. And a lot of times I just feel like I'm pulling up over Callie and Trevor and my family. And a lot of times I just pull it up all over Seaside, just all over you guys, just this grace, and sometimes I just go for the whole planet, just wrapped up in this God consciousness of grace. And all of a sudden, I begin singing. When I drive by this Seaside, I just say, thank you, God, for Seaside. I drive onto our campus. My heart is so filled with gratitude. It's just an automatic thing. I cannot drive here without driving and saying, just thank you. I don't know what I'm thanking, but I'm grateful that it's so. I open the mailbox and say, thank you for the abundant flow that comes to this community. I'm just pulling this blanket of grace daily, every night when I go to bed without thinking about when I drive up here, there is something, and that is the causative energy, not to overcome anything, but that is how the other stuff gets neutralized, because that which is far greater than that what was, it gets set in motion. But if there is a new causative action set in motion, it supersedes and overcomes that. And it's without having to go through the suffering and the agony and the pain. It is choosing to step into that grace and realize from the very first line of the Gospel of John, it says, in the beginning was the Word was of God, and the Word is God. And our thinking is really thought formed, or our thoughts are really word formed. Our thinking goes through really, how we think is through our words. That's what I'm trying to say here. Yeah. And that's what's beautiful about meditation, is it helps you sometimes move beyond thinking through words, but experiencing the present. Because the universe hears. The universe always hears. And the universe always says yes. And that's what you're attracting to your life. Is it your fear, your worry? Or is it, I may have been discouraged here, but I'm finding encouragement in God inside myself. I'm going to step up here and experience the presence in a greater way and realize that I am participating in my life and in this world in which I live. How do I expect this world to not be a neurotic world in which I live in if I keep getting involved within a relationship with the same kind of person time and time again? How can I keep marrying the same person and think this world should be different? How can I expect nations to stop warring against one another if I can't even get along with my parents or my coworkers? Or I can't heal a dispute with somebody in my life. How can I expect the world not to be at war? Because what I am adding to this greater picture is less than loving, kind thoughts. And now I know all of us want to live in a world of peace. But we got to do more than just have thoughts about peace. Our actions have got to be expressions of peace and of love and of caring. War is not going to end because I hate war. It will end when I choose to love peace even more. And then one day, when there is peace upon this planet, and the memory of us is long gone, there's going to be a little guy walking with his parents and say, and they won't even know who to thank, but he'll say, is it true that there was really a time where there was war on this planet? And they'll say, yeah, but that was a long, long time ago. And somehow you will be touched. That blessing will transcend time and space. And you, with a tear in your eye and a smile in your heart, will lift up a glass and toast and say, we did it. We did it. That's the power that you have in your life. God bless us. As we go. Again, a lot of heart and soul and passion. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am prosperous now. Hey, I trust you enjoyed that podcast. It was very exciting to be able to create that and to know that there are people like you all around the world that are observing and integrating these spiritual principles into their life. And so if you enjoyed it, what I'd like to do is encourage you to tell a friend or bring several friends together and watch another one of these podcasts. And then afterwards, take some time to talk about the spiritual principles, to talk about the stories and what significance they have and relevance they have in your life. What then happens is it moves to a deeper and deeper level in your world. It becomes real and assists you to create the freedom in your life that your heart and soul so desire. So if you like this, I encourage you to watch it again, but also tune into our website here at seasidecenter.org. There, you can get some of my written material and take a look at it. You can read some of my spiritual prayers. You can even go to our online bookstore and order some of the books. And if you're so moved, what I greatly would appreciate is your financial support, which you could do online at seasidecenter.org. It is support like yours that assists us to be able to continue to do these kinds of gifts for humanity and send it out to the world. Because you know what? We are making a difference with this spiritual message. And because of support like yours, people are being touched in the farthest reaches of this planet, as well as our backyard, more than we could ever begin to realize. So I thank you from the fullness of my heart for making a difference.